long before the jungle had a name, before rivers carved their paths, before the wind learned to speak. There was only silence. From that silence came the first scream, a soul, torn between realms, neither dead nor living. The jungle drank that scream, and from it birthed the Zank'ai. They were not settlers, they were survivors, banished from a distant land for reasons lost to time. The Zank'ai wandered until they reached the edge of the jungle, where trees grew too close, where light never touched the ground. The elders called it Nduro, the mouth of spirits. It was said to be a place where the veil between worlds was thin, where the living could hear the dead if they listened long enough. But the Zank'ai did more than listen. They built their homes on open ground, just beyond the jungle's reach, where the sun could still rise and the stars could still guide them. Every ritual, every hunt, every birth, every death, they offered to both realms, the realm of light and the realm of shadow. The jungle was quiet, too quiet. Not the kind of silence that comes with sleep, but the kind that presses against the skin, thick, watchful, waiting. I woke before the sun, as if something had pulled me from the dream world. By the spine, the air was damp, heavy with the scent of moss and ash. My fingers brushed the woven flap of my teepee. I pushed it open, slowly, carefully, not to disturb the silence. That's when I saw it, a fox. It stood just beyond the clearing, where the grass gave way to the tangled edge of the jungle. Its coat shimmered golden brown, with a pale blue undertone, like moonlight, caught in fire. One eye glowed, a soft, icy blue. The other burned orange, like embers, refusing to die. It didn't move, didn't blink, just stared, not with malice, not with hunger, but with something older, something deeper, like it was looking through me, past me, into something I hadn't yet become. I stepped forward, breath held. The fox turned its head, took 3 slow steps toward the jungle, then paused, turned back, its tail pointed straight, stiff as a spear, a signal, a warning, a call. The tippy flap to my right flew open. I turned instinctively, hand to my knife. Just one of the tribesmen, Koro, the elder's son, rubbing sleep from his eyes. But when I looked back, the fox was gone, swallowed by the jungle's breath. The others stirred quickly, too quickly. One by one, the Zank'ai emerged from their teepees, weapons already in hand, bows slung over shoulders, spears gripped tight, knives strapped to hips. No one spoke, no one needed to. The jungle had changed. Animals had vanished over the past moon cycle. First the birds, then the deer, even the insects had grown scarce. The elder said the jungle was shifting, that the balance between realms was thinning, that Nakara had returned. I hadn't told anyone I saw it, not yet. To speak of the split-eyed one was to invite its gaze again, and if it marked you twice, the stories said you didn't return. We gathered at the edge of the jungle, where the trees grew too close, where the light never touched the ground. Koro led the way, his father's bone-carved pendant swinging against his chest. Behind him, the hunters moved in silence, eyes scanning the underbrush, ears tuned to the wild. I followed last. The jungle swallowed us whole. Inside, the air was different, thicker. The trees leaned in, their branches like arms reaching for something unseen. The ground was soft, too soft, like it had been fed recently. The silence was louder here. It pressed against the ears, made the heart beat faster, just to fill the void. Then we found the first sign, A tree. Split down the middle, not by lightning, not by axe, but by something else. Something that left no blade marks, no scorch, just a clean, unnatural tear. Carved into its bark was a symbol, a circle, an eye, a jagged H. Koro froze. The mark, he whispered. It's here. I felt my stomach twist. The same symbol had burned behind my eyes when the fox stared at me. I hadn't understood it then. I did now. We were not hunting. We were being summoned. The symbol pulsed in the bark, like it had just been carved, fresh, wet, wrong. Koro knelt beside it, fingers hovering but never touching. The others fanned out, circling the tree in silence, eyes scanning, the ground for prints. There were none, no claw marks, no hoof dents, no broken twigs, just a faint musk, rising from the earth, thick, sour, unfamiliar. It clung to the air, like breath from a sleeping beast, not rot, not blood, something else, something primal. I crouched low, brushed my fingers across the damp undergrowth. The morning sun hadn't touched this ground. It was still cool, still wet, still untouched by light. Each step we took sank slightly, soft, slow, like the jungle was swallowing our weight. Koro whispered, "It's watching." No one asked what. We all felt it. We moved deeper. The trees grew closer, their trunks twisted like they'd been writhing in sleep. Vines hung low, slick with dew, brushing against our shoulders like fingers. The canopy above blocked the sky entirely. No birds, no wind, just the sound of our breath and the soft squelch of wet soil beneath our feet. Then came the shift, a sudden stillness, not silence. Stillness. Even the insects stopped. Even the leaves seemed to hold their breath. Koro raised his hand. We froze. Ahead, the jungle opened slightly, a clearing, unnatural in shape. The ground, bare, the trees, forming a perfect ring around it. At the center stood another tree, taller, older, its bark blackened, its branches reaching straight up like spears, and at its base, bones, not scattered, arranged, spiraled outward, like a ritual. Animal skulls, rib cages, femurs, all cleaned, all placed, with intention. One of the hunters, Jaru, stepped forward. "This is not a kill site," he murmured. "This is a message." Koro nodded. "A warning." I stepped closer, eyes drawn, to the center of the spiral, there, half buried in the soil. A single paw print, massive, deep, but wrong. Too many toes, too wide a spread, and the claws curved inward like hooks. No one spoke, no one moved. Then, from the trees behind us, a sound, not a growl, not a howl, a breath, long, slow, wet. The jungle exhaled. We turned as one, weapons raised, eyes scanning, the shadows, but there was nothing, just vines, just mist, just the feeling that something had just stepped back, just out of sight. Koro whispered, "We keep moving." And so we did, deeper into the jungle, deeper into the breath of something ancient, deeper into the place where the split-eyed one had walked. Returning just after dusk, the hunt had been successful. 3 boars, a handful of birds, and a deer, with eyes too wide, too wild. But no one smiled, no one laughed. The meat was carried in silence, laid out on woven mats beneath the elder's canopy. Koro stood apart, his face drawn tight. He waited until the others dispersed, then stepped into the elder's tent. She sat cross-legged, her back straight. Despite the years, her eyes closed, as if listening to something beyond the wind. Koro said, "I need to speak." She opened her eyes slowly. "You already are." He told her everything, the spiral of bones. The musk in the air, the breath that wasn't wind, The symbol, carved into the tree, the eye, the circle, the jagged H. Her face didn't change, not at first, but when Koro mentioned the print, the one with too many toes, too deep, too wrong, her eyes widened, not with surprise, with recognition. She reached behind her, pulled out a bundle wrapped in faded cloth. Inside was a stone, black, smooth, etched, with the same symbol. She placed it between them, Elder, whispering, "You've seen it." Koro nodded. "What is it?" She didn't answer, not directly. Instead, she said, "Your grandmother used to tell you stories. Do you remember?" Koro frowned. She told many. She told one, the one you forgot. And then the memories came, not like dreams, like wounds, reopening, a fire, a scream, a fox, with split eyes, standing at the edge of the jungle. His grandmother's voice. "If you see it once, you are marked. If you see it twice, you are chosen or cursed." He had seen it before, as a child, and now, again. The next morning, they rose with the sun, weapons sharpened, faces painted. The jungle waited. They moved in silence deeper than before, past the clearing, past the spiral, into the heart. The air was thicker, the light dimmer, the ground wetter. Each step sank slightly, like the jungle was remembering them. Then a growl. Short, deliberate. Only one heard it. Jaru, the youngest. He stopped, eyes wide, head tilted. Koro asked, "What is it?" Jaru shook his head. "Nothing. I thought I heard, but no one else had. So..." They moved on. They whispered now, voices low, breath shallow. The jungle felt closer, hungrier. Then someone didn't respond. A question asked. No answer followed. We all turned. He was gone. No sound, no scream. Just absence. Weapons drawn, eyes scanning. Koro knelt where the man had walked. No tracks, no drag marks, no blood. Just wet earth, just silence, just the feeling that something had stepped forward and taken. They searched in silence. The jungle gave nothing freely. No sound, no scent, no sign. Then one of the hunters, Tanu, the quiet one, stopped. His hand trembled as he reached down, brushed aside a patch of damp leaves. There, half buried in the soil, lay a pendant, bone-carved, worn smooth by time, the cord frayed, and across its surface a smear of blood, not fresh, not dry, just enough to say he was here. Tanu held it up, his voice, barely a whisper. "Tanu, Jaru's." The others gathered close. No one spoke. The pendant was sacred, passed down. From Jaru's father, carved, with the symbol of the sun. To lose it was shame. To leave it behind was unthinkable. One of the older hunters, Raku, stepped back. "Raku, we must return. This is not our fight." Koro turned slowly, his eyes hard. "Koro, no one leaves." Raku hesitated. "This place is wrong." Koro stepped forward. "Koro, that's why we stay." They found the tracks, minutes later. Not footprints, not paw prints, something else. Wide, deep, uneven, like something walked. On two legs, but not human. The stride, wrong. The pressure, too heavy. The claw marks, curved inward, like hooks, dragging through soil. They followed. The jungle changed, not suddenly, subtly. The trees leaned closer. The vines grew thicker. The light dimmed, though the sun was still rising. The air grew colder, despite the heat, and the silence. The silence grew louder. Every step felt heavier. Every breath tasted of moss and metal. The tracks led them to a narrow path, barely wide enough for one. The undergrowth brushed against their legs, wet from morning dew, cool against their skin. But it wasn't refreshing. It was clammy, like breath, like sweat. They moved slowly, weapons drawn, eyes wide. And then a whisper. Not words, just sound, like wind, through bone, like something, remembering how to speak. Tanu stopped. "Did you hear?" Koro raised a hand. Quiet. They listened. Nothing. But the dread didn't fade. It thickened, wrapped around them, like vines, pressed against their backs, like hands. They reached another clearing, smaller, tighter. The trees formed a perfect circle, again. And at the center, a single tree, blackened, split, bleeding sap, that smelled of rust, carved into its bark. A new symbol, not the I, not the H. This one was different. A spiral, a mouth, a claw. Koro stepped forward. "It's changing," Raku whispered, "or waking." The clearing was still. The spiral symbol, carved into the tree, pulsed faintly, as if the bark itself was breathing. The hunters stood in a loose circle, eyes scanning the shadows, ears tuned to the silence. Then a sound from above, not a branch snapping, not a bird call, something else, a low, wet clicking, like bone, tapping against bone, rhythmic, deliberate, too slow, to be natural, too fast, to be wind. Koro froze, his breath caught, his eyes widened. The sound, he had heard it before. He was 6, sitting by the fire, his grandmother humming a song with no melody. She held a bone, long, thin, carved with symbols, tapped it against the wood. "Click, click, click," she whispered. Grandmother, soft, grave. When the jungle clicks, it's counting. When it stops, it's chosen. He had laughed then. She hadn't. Back in the clearing? The sound stopped. Koro's heart pounded. He turned slowly, eyes scanning the canopy. Then movement, a flash, dark, fast, between the trees. Too large to be a bird, too low to be a monkey, too wrong to be anything they knew. The others saw it too. Tanu whispered, "Did you see?" Koro raised his hand. Quiet. They stood still, listening, watching. The jungle didn't move, but it felt different, like something had shifted, like something had chosen. The jungle held its breath. The flash of movement had vanished, but the silence it left behind was heavier than before. The hunters stood still, eyes darting, muscles tense. Koro didn't move. His gaze fixed on the tree, the spiral, the claw, the bleeding sap, but his mind was somewhere else. The fire crackled low. His grandmother sat cross-legged, eyes closed, fingers tracing symbols into the dirt. Koro had asked, "Why do you mark the ground?" She opened her eyes, slowly. "Grandmother, to remind the earth who we are." He had laughed. "The earth doesn't forget." She leaned close, her breath warm, scented with herbs. "It does. And when it forgets, it feeds." She had told him stories of the jungle before the Zank'ai, of spirits that walked on 2 legs but wore no skin, of beasts that mimicked voices, wore memories like masks, of a sound, clicking, slow, wet, that meant the jungle was counting. "Grandmother, when it stops, someone is chosen." Koro had asked, "Chosen for what?" She hadn't answered. She had just looked at him, long, quiet, like she already knew. Back in the clearing, Koro's jaw clenched. He looked at the others, Tanu, Raku, the rest, their faces tight, eyes wide. Fear was creeping in, not panic, not yet, but the kind that makes men question their footing. Koro said, "We split." Raku frowned. "Split?" Koro nodded. 2 groups. One follows the tracks. One circles wide. If it's watching us, we watch it back. Tanu stepped forward. And if it's haunting? Koro looked at the spiral. Then we find it first. The group divided. Koro took Tanu and 2 others, following the tracks. Deeper into the jungle, Raku led the second group, circling wide, eyes scanning. The canopy, the jungle. Didn't protest, but it felt colder, like it was waiting. Koro's group moved in silence. The tracks were fading, less defined, more erratic. The jungle grew thicker, vines like veins, pulsing with dew. The air, colder now, despite the rising sun. It clung to their skin like breath. Tanu whispered, "It's watching." Koro didn't answer. He felt it too. Then came the voice, soft, distant, floating through the trees like smoke. "Koro." He stopped. The others froze. One began, "Did you hear?" Koro snapped, "Quiet." They listened. "Tanu." The voice was familiar, too familiar. It was Ina's voice, a tribeswoman, a hunter, dead 2 seasons ago, taken by the river during storm. Her voice, gentle, calm, but wrong, too smooth, too slow, like someone remembering how to speak. Tanu's face went pale. "That's not her." Koro nodded. "It's not." The voice came again, closer. "Come back." But it sounded far. Then, "Come back." Farther away, but it felt closer. Koro whispered, "The closer it sounds, the farther it is." Tanu finished, "The farther it sounds, the closer it stands." They turned slowly, eyes scanning the trees. Nothing. The jungle felt tighter, the veins closer, the light dimmer. The voice came again. "Koro, why did you leave me?" He clenched his jaw. It was using memory, guilt. It was hunting. It was haunting. They moved faster now, not running, not yet. But the silence behind them felt heavier, like something was walking in their footsteps, like something was learning their rhythm. Koro whispered, "It's not chasing us." Tanu asked, "Then what?" Koro looked ahead. "It's waiting." The jungle whispered with 1,000 unseen mouths. Koro's group moved in silence, blades low, eyes scanning. The path ahead looked familiar, too familiar. A twisted root, a broken branch, the same patch of moss. They had passed it before, twice. Koro halted, his breath caught in his throat. "We're being turned," he muttered. "The jungle's folding us in." Behind him, Raku, the youngest, glanced over his shoulder. The trees loomed like sentinels, their bark slick with shadow. No birds, no wind, just the slow, pulsing hush of the jungle's breath. The other group, split off hours ago, moved with caution. One of them, Tanu, the quiet one, heard it first. A voice, not words, just a sound, low, familiar, like someone calling from far away. He raised his bow, stepped forward. Leaves parted, a faint, guttural growl rolled through the air. Not loud, not threatening, just present, ancient. Tanu froze. Between the leaves, something moved. A snout, black, wet, nostrils pushed through, not fully, just enough to exhale. A slow, steaming breath curled into the air. Then it withdrew. Tanu let out a low, trembling war cry. Not of challenge, but of fear. The others turned, weapons drawn. They saw it too. The mist, hanging, floating, then gone. Koro heard the cry. He turned sharply, eyes wide. "That was Tanu," he said. "We move." But the jungle had changed. The path behind them, gone, replaced by thorns. The air thickened, the light dimmed. Every direction felt wrong. "We're not lost," Koro said, more to himself than the others. "We're being kept." They pressed on, knowing the beast was near, not chasing, not attacking, just watching, breathing. The jungle did not want them to reunite. Every path twisted, every landmark shifted. The vines grew thicker, the air colder. But Koro pressed on, his grip tight around the hilt of his blade, his breath steady despite the dread. Then a sound, not a growl, not a cry, a voice. Tano! It was Raku's voice, real, close. Koro turned, pushed through a curtain of vines, and there they were, the other half of the group, gathered in a tight circle, weapons drawn, eyes wide. Tano stood at the center, trembling. Raku said he saw it, not all of it, just enough. Koro stepped forward. The snout. Tano nodded, and the breath. It wasn't just steam, it was heavy, like it carried something. Koro looked around. The jungle was still, but not silent. It pulsed, it listened. Then he saw it, carved into a nearby tree. The spiral, again. But this time, surrounded by smaller symbols, circles, lines, eyes. His breath caught. His grandmother, kneeling in the dirt, marking the ground with ash and bone. She had whispered, "When the jungle speaks, you must answer, not with words, with memory." She had taught him the ritual of the marked, a way to ask the jungle for clarity, for protection, for truth. But it came with a price. "You must give it something it wants," she had said, "something it remembers." Koro turned to the others. "We perform the ritual," he said. Raku frowned. "Here." Koro nodded. "Here. Now before it chooses again." They gathered in a circle. Koro knelt, drew the spiral in the soil. Around it, he placed offerings, a feather, a shard of bone, a drop of blood. From his own palm, he whispered the chant, not loud, not clear, just enough for the jungle to hear. The air shifted, the mist thickened, the spiral pulsed. And then a voice, not from the trees, from the soil, low, ancient, not words, just emotion, regret, hunger, memory. The jungle remembered them, and now it wanted more. Elder Nia sat cross-legged before the fire, her bones aching with silence. They should have returned by now. She reached for the bowl of black water, infused with ash, root, and the whispering bark of the Zank'ai tree. A mirror to the spirit realm. She dipped her fingers in. The surface rippled, then stilled, then a vision. Not of the tribe, of the jungle. It twisted, bled, screamed, and then she saw it. The beast, not fully, just fragments, a snout, a claw, a mouth that opened too wide, eyes that didn't blink, and behind it, a trail of bones, some fresh, some ancient. Nia gasped. She saw the tribe's fire. She saw it flicker, then vanish. She opened her eyes. Elder Nia whispered, "They must not sleep, not fully." Night fell like a curse. The mist thickened. The trees leaned closer. The air grew wet, metallic. Koro wanted to press on, but the others insisted. Raku said, "We camp. We rotate. No one sleeps alone." They built a small fire. It hissed against the damp. Tano took first watch. His eyes scanned the trees, his ears tuned to every rustle. Then, snap, a stick, not far. He stood, footsteps, slow, heavy, deliberate. He woke. The others, they sat in silence, blades drawn, breath shallow. Then the growl, low, guttural. But this time, it didn't fade. It circled. It lingered. Hours passed. They rotated. Some slept. Others watched. But sleep was thin. Dreams were worse. Then, crash. The spiral changed leaves, exploded, branches snapped. Something darted past the camp. Too fast, too dark. Just a shadow. Tall, wrong. Koro turned. Nothing. But the fire flickered, and the spiral he'd drawn earlier, it had changed. Now it had teeth. The fire hissed low, the mist hung like breath. They rotated watches, eyes heavy, hearts heavier. No one spoke, no one slept deeply. Then he was gone. Tanu, 1 minute, sharpening his blade. The next, nothing, no sound, no struggle, just absence. Koro searched the perimeter. No tracks, no blood, just the spiral. In the dirt. Now, smeared. Raku dropped to his knees. "He was my brother," he whispered. "He was the strongest of us." No one answered. The jungle didn't care. Then came the eyes, dark orange, watching, waiting, choosing. Red, flickering, between the trees, not many, just one pair. Watching. They blinked, gone, another pair, closer. Blink, gone. The tribe, huddled near the fire, blades drawn, breath shallow. Koro said, "This isn't a test, it's choosing." They held out until the fire dimmed, until the mist thickened, until... Jaru stepped back, his foot caught on an uplifted root. He fell, hard. The others turned from the bush. Beside him, it appeared, just the snout, at first, black, wet, breathing, then the eye, then the claws, growl, low, deep, final. It lunged. Jaru screamed once, then silence. The jungle swallowed him. They didn't chase. They couldn't. They stood, frozen, blades shaking, hearts pounding. A spiral in the dirt pulsed again. Now it had claws. Elder Nia knelt before the sacred flame. She had seen the beast. She had felt the spiral's pulse. She had heard the jungle scream. Now she must speak to the spirits. She carved symbols into the ash, eyes, claw, spirals. She placed a tooth from her necklace into the flame. She whispered the chant. The fire flared blue. Her eyes rolled back. She saw the tribe, surrounded, tested, marked. She saw the beast, not its face, its hunger. She saw the choice, fight or flee. Dawn crept in like a sigh. The mist thinned. The birds began to chirp. The breeze stirred the leaves. The jungle breathed again. The tribe gathered, weary, bloodied, broken. Koro stood tall. "We set a trap," he said. "We end this." No one argued. They chose Raku as bait. His eyes steady, his grip firm. The others took positions behind trees, beneath brush, under a fallen trunk, pressed into the dirt. They waited. The jungle grew quiet, too quiet. The birds stooped. The breeze died. Even the mist held still. Raku stood alone in the clearing, heart pounding. Then a scream, not his, from the canopy, high, distant, drifting. Everyone turned. The trap had failed. They had watched the wrong place. Then a whisper, soft, wet, wrong. No words, just breath. "You are not the hunters." The flame had turned black. Not smoke, not ash, just shadow. Elder Nea's body trembled, but her mind drifted far. She was no longer in the hut. She was beneath the earth, above the canopy, inside the beast's breath. Symbols danced in the air, spirals unraveling, eyes blinking open, claws reaching through the mist. She saw the tribe, Raku standing alone, Koro crouched in the brush, others hidden, hearts thudding like drums. She felt the jungle still, the birds silenced, the wind held its breath. Then the scream, it pierced her trance like a blade. She gasped, the spirits surged, not in anger, not in fear, in judgment. They whispered, "You have taught them all you can. The fate of the tribe no longer rests in your chants, your fire, your wisdom. It rests in the hunters, in their unity, in their sacrifice." Spirits echoing in their blood. Nia saw. A spiral closing, not drawn, formed, from bone, she saw. A hand reaching into it, not pulling something out, but offering, she saw. The jungle watching, not passive, not cruel, just waiting. She opened her eyes. The flame was gone. Only ash remained. She whispered, "To the wind, Naya. Let them choose well." The scream echoed long after it ended. The hunters regrouped, breath ragged, eyes wide. Raku trembled, his bow still raised, though his hands had forgotten how to aim. Koro stepped into the clearing. "It's testing us," he said. "Not just our blades, our fear." Tano whispered, "It's choosing." Koro nodded, "And we're failing." Then one of the younger hunters, Maro, broke formation. Maro snapped, "I won't wait to be picked off." "We hunt it now." He stepped forward, past the spiral, past the brush. The jungle reacted. A gust of wind, a sudden silence, a branch, snapping, not underfoot, above. Maro froze, then eyes, dark orange, high off the ground, watching. The beast didn't lunge, it blinked, then vanished. Koro stepped forward. Koro, low, steady. "It's not just strong, it's smart. It's waiting for us to break." Then the jungle shifted. Birds chirped. Leaves rustled. The mist thinned. It was invitation. The tribe moved forward, weapons drawn, hearts thudding. They followed. The broken branches, the snapped roots, the claw marks etched into bark. Then blood, a patch. Drenched, still wet, still warm. They knelt. It wasn't from the beast. It was human. The trail continued, not in pools, in drops, small, deliberate, like blood crumbs. Leading deeper. Koro whispering, "It wants us to follow." Raku quietly, "To what?" Koro looked ahead. "To the truth." The blood trail led them deeper. The jungle grew older here. The trees thicker. Their bark etched with symbols no one had carved. Vines hung like curtains, and the air smelled of stone and bone. Then they saw it, a clearing, circular, perfect, sacred. At its center, a ruin, half buried, overgrown, but unmistakable. Stone pillars, carved with spirals, claws, eyes, bones, arranged in patterns, a burial ground. Koro stepped forward. "This is where it began," he whispered. Raku knelt beside a pillar. His fingers brushed the stone, then a whisper. The tribe gathered in the burial ground, not to banish the beast, but to remember it, to understand its origin. Koro believed only by honoring its pain could they survive. They prepared the ritual, blood, ashes, chants, passed down in fragments, half remembered, half invented. They painted the spiral onto their skin, closed, like the one carved in stone. They placed handprints beside the ruin, human, fresh. They knelt, they breathed, they remembered. Koro, softly. "This isn't just where it lives, it's where it remembers." Tano, whispering. "Then what does it want?" Koro stared at the spiral. "To be remembered." The tribe gathered in the burial ground, not to banish the beast, but to remember it, to understand its origin. Koro believed only by honoring its pain could they survive. They used blood, ashes, chants, passed down in fragments, half remembered, half invented. They drew spirals in the dirt, placed bones in patterns, lit fires that burned blue. Each hunter spoke a memory aloud, something they feared, something they regretted. The jungle listened. The air thickened. The trees leaned closer. Raku hesitated, his voice shaking. Raku, softly. "I left my brother to die. I ran and never looked back." The spiral glowed faintly. The ritual was working. They were close. Just as Koro began the final chant, silence. The jungle stopped breathing. The fire died. The spiral began to spin slowly. Impossibly. Then a scream. Tano, gone, dragged into the trees. Blood spattered the spiral. The beast emerged, not from the jungle, but from beneath the ruin. It rose like smoke and bone, its form shifting, its face a blur of all their regrets. It spoke, not in words, in memories. Each hunter heard something different. Raku, his brother's dying breath. Koro, the voice of the ancestor he failed. The youngest, his own funeral. They were frozen, the ritual incomplete. But something had awakened. The spiral glowed faintly, the ritual nearly complete. Koro's voice trembled as he spoke, the final line. Then the ground cracked, split. From beneath the ruin, the beast rose, slow, deliberate, its fur black, blacker than a moonless night, darker than shadow, darker than memory. Its eyes burned orange-red, flickering like dying fire. Its ears pointed, twitching with every breath. Its mouth opened slowly. Fangs, not teeth. Fangs, long, curved, yellowed with age and blood. Drool dripped from its lips, thick, slow, pooling. At its feet, it stepped forward. No sound, just presence. One of the hunters screamed. The beast lunged. A claw reached out. Too fast, too long. It grabbed the hunter by the shoulder. Koro moved. Threw an axe. It struck the beast's side. Thunk, no effect. The beast turned. Koro stood frozen, but the claw released. The hunter fell alive. For now, the beast circled, slow, deliberate. Its snout lifted, its lips curled. Growl, low, deep, guttural. The jungle echoed it. Whispers filled the air, not from the beast, from the trees, from the soil, from the spiral. You should not be here. You should not know. You should now remember. The tribe stood frozen, weapons drawn, breath held. The beast didn't attack, not yet. It was waiting, watching, daring. The tribe attacked as one. Spears flew, blades slashed, arrows pierced. The beast roared, not in pain, but in rage. It moved like smoke and thunder, claws tearing through bark and bone. 2 hunters fell. Raku, torn from shoulder to spine. Tano, crushed beneath a swipe that shattered the earth. Koro fought with fury, his blade carved deep into the beast's flank. It bled, but not enough. Far away. In the spirit realm, Nia watched. Her eyes rolled white. Her body trembled. She chanted, voice cracking, blood dripping from her nose. The spirits screamed around her. She saw the battle, the beast. Koro turned. The others were gone. Only him, only the beast. He looked at his fallen brothers, then ran. The jungle exploded behind him. The beast crashed through the undergrowth, faster than thought, heavier than thunder. Koro sprinted, heart pounding, lungs burning. Then a whisper, software familiar. Go left. Nia's voice. He darted. Left. The beast roared. A claw swiped, caught him. His back tore open. He stumbled, fell, tumbled, down a slope into water. Silence, cold, dark. He surfaced, gasping. The beast stood on the bank above, watching. Its breath steamed. Its eyes burned. Then it turned, bolted, gone. They prepared the ritual. Blood, ashes, chants, passed down in fragments, half remembered, half invented. They painted the spiral onto their skin, closed, like the one carved in stone. They placed handprints beside the ruin, human, fresh. They knelt, they breathed, they remembered. Koro, softly. This isn't just where it lives, it's where it remembers. Tano, whispering. Then what does it want? Koro stared at the spiral. To be remembered. The tribe gathered in the burial ground. not to banish the beast, but to remember it, to understand its origin. Koro believed. Only by honoring its pain could they survive. They used blood, ashes, chants, passed down in fragments, half remembered, half invented. They drew spirals in the dirt, placed bones in patterns, lit fires that burned blue. Each hunter spoke a memory aloud, something they feared, something they regretted. The jungle listened. The air thickened. The trees leaned closer. Raku hesitated, his voice shaking. Raku, softly, "I left my brother to die. I ran and never looked back." The spiral glowed faintly. The ritual was working. They were close. Just as Koro began the final chant, silence. The jungle stopped breathing. The fire died. The spiral began to spin slowly, impossibly. Then a scream. Tano, gone, dragged into the trees. Blood spattered the spiral. The beast emerged, not from the jungle, but from beneath the ruin. It rose like smoke and bone, its form shifting, its face a blur of all their regrets. It spoke, not in words, in memories. Each hunter heard something different. Raku, his brother's dying breath. Koro, the voice of the ancestor he failed. The youngest, his own funeral. They were frozen, the ritual incomplete. But something had awakened. The spiral glowed faintly, the ritual nearly complete. Koro's voice trembled as he spoke, the final line. Then the ground cracked, split. From beneath the ruin, the beast rose, slow, deliberate, its fur black, blacker than a moonless night, darker than shadow, darker than memory. Its eyes burned orange-red, flickering like dying fire. Its ears pointed, twitching with every breath. Its mouth opened slowly, fangs, not teeth, fangs, long, curved, yellowed with age and blood. Drool dripped from its lips, thick, slow, pooling at its feet. It stepped forward, no sound, just presence. One of the hunters screamed. The beast lunged. A claw reached out, too fast, too long. It grabbed the hunter by the shoulder. Koro moved. Threw an axe. It struck the beast's side. Thunk, no effect. The beast turned. Koro stood frozen, but the claw released. The hunter fell alive. For now, the beast circled, slow, deliberate. Its snout lifted, its lips curled. Growl, low, deep, guttural. The jungle echoed it. Whispers filled the air, not from the beast, from the trees, from the soil, from the spiral. You should not be here. You should not know. You should now remember. The tribe stood frozen, weapons drawn, breath held. The beast didn't attack, not yet. It was waiting, watching, daring. The tribe attacked as one. Spears flew, blades slashed, arrows pierced. The beast roared, not in pain, but in rage. It moved like smoke and thunder, claws tearing through bark and bone. 2 hunters fell. Raku, torn from shoulder to spine. Tano, crushed beneath a swipe that shattered the earth. Koro fought with fury, his blade carved deep into the beast's flank. It bled, but not enough. Far away. In the spirit realm, Nia watched. Her eyes rolled white. Her body trembled. She chanted, voice cracking, blood dripping from her nose. The spirits screamed around her. She saw the battle, the beast. Koro turned. The others were gone. Only him, only the beast. He looked at his fallen brothers, then ran. The jungle exploded behind him. The beast crashed through the undergrowth, faster than thought, heavier than thunder. Koro sprinted, heart pounding, lungs burning. Then a whisper, soft, familiar. Go left. Nia's voice. He darted left. The beast roared. A claw swiped, caught him. His back tore open. He stumbled, fell, tumbled, down a slope into water. Silence, cold, dark. He surfaced, gasping. The beast stood on the bank above, watching. Its breath steamed, its eyes burned. Then it turned, bolted, gone. Koro crawled to the opposite bank, grabbed a branch, pulled himself up. He lay there, bleeding, breathing. Then he remembered the wound, a weakness, low. On its left side, he stood, rubbed himself in dirt, marked his face with ash, became the jungle, became the hunter. He moved, silently, no longer prey. He searched for the perfect place, a narrow pass, a blind corner, a place where the beast would not see him until it was too late. Koro moved like shadow. His wounds burned, but his mind was clear. The beast was fast, smart, ferocious, but it was also wounded, proud. It would come again. He found the remains of Tano's blade, splintered bone, cracked stone, soaked in blood. He knelt beside it, whispered a prayer, then began to rebuild. Stone lashed to bone with sinew, ash rubbed into the blade's edge, a spiral carved into the hill. It wasn't just a weapon, it was a promise. Then he remembered Nia's chant, the one she whispered when the jungle grew quiet. Spiral to silence, silence to shadow, shadow to truth. He carved a spiral into the dirt, placed drops of the beast's blood at each point, lit a small fire with bark from the burial ground. He whispered, spirits of claw and breath, of bone and silence, hear me. I do not ask for mercy. The fire flared blue. The jungle listened. Koro climbed high into the canopy, above a narrow pass where the beast would run. He tied vines, bent branches, set the bone blade in a crevice below. Then he waited. The jungle grew quiet again. Birds stopped. Wind died. Mist thickened. Then footsteps, heavy, deliberate. The beast, it moved with rage, with hunger, with purpose. Koro held his breath. The beast passed below, snout lifted, eyes burning. It stepped into the trap. The spiral pulsed. The fire flickered. Koro dropped, silent, precise. He aimed for the wound. Koro dropped from the canopy. The bone blade struck true, deep into the beast's wound. It roared, not in pain, in fury. It turned, claws slashing. Koro was thrown, his shoulder shattered, his leg torn. But he rose, bleeding, breathing, alive. The beast lunged. Koro dodged, barely. He grabbed a vine, looped it, twisted it, snared the beast's leg. It thrashed. He pulled. The jungle groaned. The fire died. The spiral faded. But the beast fell far away. Nia screamed. Her nose bled freely. She saw flashes, Koro's face, his wounds, his eyes, but not the outcome. She collapsed. The spirits went silent. Koro dragged the beast through mud, through mist, through memory, back to the village, alone. No one waited. No one expected. Then a child saw him, eyes wide. She screamed, not in fear, in ritual cry, a sound that echoed. Through the huts, through the trees, through the bones, the tribe emerged. They saw him. They saw the beast. They knelt. But before the ritual could end, a girl wandered to the edge of the jungle. She saw something, a bundle, wrapped in cloth. Inside, an amulet, a bone. It pulsed. She touched it. The mist shifted. The jungle whispered. Leaves trembled. Roots stirred. Far away. Something opened its eyes.